Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, a model launched in 2011, and as you see it here, only made in 29 pieces since. This is the DB28 Tourbillon in grade 5 titanium, and you can see the watch is substantial, 43.1 millimeters in diameter if we're just measuring the case. It's actually thick only by the standards of Bethune. Anyone else would say 11.4 millimeters thick for a 5-day power reserve tourbillon with a power reserve indicator. That is a thin watch. It's got broad lugs on it, 53 millimeters when they are fully compressed. Total distance across the wrist when extended, 58 millimeters with a 26 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. Given that the watch is made almost entirely of sapphire and titanium, it's a very light watch, extremely comfortable, and although it's big, it feels almost toy-like. Being as low as it is, it'll sit easily under a cuff, though it is broad. Fortunately, these pre-2020 DB28s can actually have different lug sizes fitted at the factory when they go back for service. So if you buy the watch and you like it, but you feel the lugs are a little too broad, that can be fixed. These are the broad lugs, as you could see. Now, over the top, you can see the watch is large, but large is kind of the aesthetic here. It's not supposed to be a delicate daisy or a vanishing violet. Taking a quick look in profile, you can see that the watch features a 26 millimeter strap spacing, and that the strap is made of a combination of textile on the top, calfskin on the bottom, no crimping, no gouging. It is a Bethune by Jean Rousseau strap, and Jean Rousseau is the OEM supplier to Bethune. You could also, against my wrist, which is 16 centimeters, get a sense of the scale, and then see that the buckle itself is designed to echo the design of the lugs. This is a long-running design trait of Bethune watches. They have multiple lugs. They also have multiple buckles. The lugs are a patented element. The spring-loaded floating lugs first debuted on the DB26 perpetual calendar back in 2008. In 2010, the DB28 arrived, and on its way to winning the Aiguille d'Or at the GPHG, it made the floating lugs a regular part of the Bethune catalog. You can see that we have a crown, which is actually a screw down to prevent it from interacting with the moving lug. And if you look carefully, you can see that the case is actually a monoblock. The bezel and the mid case are all one piece. Everything loads through the case back on this watch, so it's seamless and clean from the top. These little bullet tips on the end of the lugs, those ogival tips as they're known, or the torpedo tips, the last styling vestige of the original Bethune product, the DB1 chronograph of 2002. These little tips appear on most Bethune products since. Taking a look, you can see the watch is grade 5 titanium and high polish, which I find, anecdotally, is the most durable base metal. If you want a finish that shows as few marks as possible through years of ownership, get grade 5 titanium, which is harder than regular watchmaking steel and harder than grade 2, and then polish it, and it really does a great job of remaining fresh and unmarred over the years. On the case back, we have a very elaborate power reserve indicator. It's a 5-day manual wind power reserve, and you can see that it's got a red zone that is actually a 6th a day, and it will run a little bit longer than the advertised 5 days, but 5 days is chronometric, so this is advertised as a 5-day power reserve. We have a rose gold indicator for that. You can see here we have anglage, engine turning, media blast, satination, polished screw heads. It's all here. This is the caliber DB2109, and it is distinguished by visible barrels and a tourbillon regulator. Now, I wanted you to see this tourbillon, which is why it's not running at the beginning of the video. It is a white gold rim with an evacuated silicon wheel, an extraordinary construction that is patented by Denis Flageolet, the watchmaking creative genius and co-founder of Bethune. That is his design. So patented elements in here include the floating lugs, the unique balance wheel, the tourbillon assembly, which is the world's lightest. With 63 parts, the tourbillon weighs only 18 hundredths of a gram, 0.18. The twin barrels are self-adjusting. That is also patented. They cannot accidentally be overwound, so you can wind with gusto and not worry about breaking anything. The hairspring curve, which is shaped by hand from a flat hairspring, they actually cut a flat hairspring into 2 pieces, shape the outer curve, and then clamp them back together, so it's thin like a flat hairspring, but breathes concentrically like an overscoil. You can see that it features a silicon escape wheel of Bethune's own design below, and it's actually a high beat rate, so 36,000 vibrations per hour like a Zenithal Primero. That's 5 hertz or 10 beats per second. What you'll also see as the tourbillon fires up is that it is a fast tourbillon. So whereas a conventional tourbillon regulator, at least in the modern wristwatch era, usually makes one circuit every minute, this one right here makes a circuit every 30 seconds. So it makes a circuit every 30 seconds, and it beats at 10 beats per second. So it's actually quite loud. You can hear it in a quiet room. Not only is it extraordinarily fast moving, but it has an extraordinarily high beat rate. And at Bethune, tourbillon watches almost always run better than 1 second a day, which is why, among other accolades, at the GPHG, a Bethune watch with a tourbillon won the chronometry prize in 2018. Bethune makes its own cases, makes its own dials, makes its own movements, so this is a full Bethune product. You can see everything from the stripes on the cap above the base plate to the black polished and blackened cap above the barrel bridge. You can see the mirrored anglage on the edge, these unique skeletonized, modified, polished Breguet-style hands, as well as the mirrored base below the tourbillon, all of this executed in-house. We have little titanium globes outboard that represent the hour indices, and then we have two barrels. If you look very closely, you can actually see the ratchet wheel teeth are micro-beveled. So while Bethune might not be known for fine finish, they actually deliver it at the same quality or better than brands that hang their hat on fine finishing styles. Taking a look at the bridge for the tourbillon, you can see it's media blasted and fired blue titanium. So this watch is simply full of nuance, and in this style, only 29 made, everyone guaranteed to be a rarity and a collectible. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.